All right, good evening, teams. Oh my goodness, I am so excited for this training tonight. My name is Stephanie. There's the baby. I am a diamond ambassador with Plexus. We've got on here Eric Paul, who's a diamond, and Carl Spohn. He's got his brand new little baby girl on here. She's so stinky cute. I can't wait to see her. And Aaron Harrison, who is an emerald with Plexus. So we've got an awesome lineup for you guys. And this training was actually something that we learned in Hawaii last year. And it has been something that has really made a big difference for me in just helping with my business, helping with setting goals and keeping my life and Plexus and family in a harmonious balance. So that's what we try to shoot for, because if we're preaching, you know, we have all this time freedom and then we are totally swamped with Plexus, then we're not really being, you know, balanced with what we're saying. So anyway, I'm really excited for tonight, and I'm going to go ahead and start us out in prayer, and then we will get into our training. So thank you guys for being here. Father, Lord, I thank you for this evening that we have. I thank you for all these people that are here to learn and to grow. I pray that you would bless this information. I pray that it would be beneficial for everyone, and that we could all learn something from this tonight. And thank you, Lord, for loving us. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so what we are training on is called B.R.A.D, and with their acronyms, each of the letters is a different, somebody isn't muted here. Let's see. Okay, so each of the letters is for a different, it's like acronym. Okay, so first off, I just want to talk about, again, getting into alignment with what you're doing, with what you're teaching. As Plexus ambassadors, if you have decided to do the business, then you decided to be a part of a health and wellness company. So is your life, is what you are sharing, is how you are living in alignment with that? Are you eating donuts and popcorn and Cheez-Its and pop all the time and posting about how you went to Krispy Kreme and had 8 donuts and you've got all these issues going on, but you're trying to post about health and wellness? That is sending two very different signals to people. So you're the one that made the decision to do this business, and it is important for you, it is important for your business that what you are sharing is in alignment with what you are doing as a business. So think about that. Also, when you're sharing, like, we're the health happiness company, okay? Drama is not happiness, all right? I see so many people on Facebook and they're, you know, cussing out this person, and I'm like, okay, unfriend them. And there's just so much drama and stuff going on. Is that portraying something that is happiness, and that you don't have as much stress in your life because you're balancing your gut and your happy hormones are working better and all this other stuff? So think about what you are sharing, okay? Think about your life, because people are watching you. They are watching how you act more than they are watching what you say. So just be conscious of that when you do things. When are you in alignment with what you are preaching? Okay, so very first letter, guys, get your notepads out and your pens. The very, very first letter that I'm going to be talking about, and then I'll pass it off to Eric, is your boundaries. Okay, boundaries. Write this big, okay? Oftentimes, we do not have good boundaries in our lives. And so when that happens, then we have conflict. I've got some stories to share with you guys too, and you probably have done the same things yourselves. But we need to have boundaries in 3 areas, and I'm going to give examples for each of those. So we need to have boundaries with people, with places, and with promises. And I'll give examples for those. So the first one is people, okay? I was talking about, negativity and drama. And, if you have family that is that way, okay, just because they're your family does not mean that you have to be so invested and involved and hearing about it and talking about it and seeing about it every single day, all the time. You can set boundaries, and if this is detrimental to you and your family is very important, all right? So your friends, your family, if they are not good influences for you, and you could even kind of write a list of like the top 20 people you associate with and put a positive or a negative next to their names. Like if after you're around them, if you are inspired and uplifted, or you start talking to them and then you kind of start negative back and forth and whining and arguing about this or complaining about this, and just notice what type of an atmosphere you have after talking to these people. Are they beneficial to you? Are they uplifting? Are they that good iron sharpening iron, or are they dragging you down? Okay, because sometimes people just don't want to be helped. They like where they're at, and if that's the case, don't let yourself be dragged down to that level. Okay, life is too short. There are too many wonderful things that the Lord has planned for us and that He wants us to be able to do, to get sucked into all of that stuff, all that drama. So people, all right. Jim Rohn said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But the thing is, you get to choose them, okay? So choose wisely. Be wise with your decisions. Be wise with who is influencing you. The 5 people you hang around with in your finances, in your spiritual life, in your, just in things that you do daily. Like how do you connect with these people? So be thinking about that, because you have control of that. So another thing in boundaries and in people, and this is very, very important, guys, what people ask of you. All right. If you work from home, people almost kind of see that as, oh, she doesn't work. So sure, I can come over whenever I want, or yeah, you can babysit my kid for me because, she's sick and the daycare won't take her. And let me just drop by right now and spend 2 hours here. You've got to set boundaries. Train the people in your life about them. All right. So you need to know them yourselves, because if you don't tell other people, if you don't know yourself, and if you don't tell other people, you really have no right to be upset or angry or to feel used when you have not clearly stated what your boundaries are. So if this is your work day, have set times and set schedules that this is whatever. Thursdays for us are skating, and we have a nursing home that we do. So I know I don't ever plan anything on Thursdays. If someone says, hey, can you do something on Thursday? I'm like, nope, sorry, that doesn't work. What's another day for you that works well? But that is a boundary that I know that is clear cut, obvious, that I cannot have anything going on that day. I will not have anything going on that day because it is already prioritized as something else. Okay. So know what your boundaries are through the week. And this is something really good too, is to have your weekly planner, have your monthly planner, Saturday, Sunday, plan out what your week is going to be. So so you're prepared. You can have downtime and stuff like that, but at least having an idea of what you have scheduled, it helps keep everything clear. And so if someone wants to do something or go somewhere, you can look at your schedule and say, hold on, thank you so much for asking me to do that. Let me check my schedule and I'll get back with you. Okay. So people in your life aren't respecting your boundaries or stepping all over them because you haven't been clear with them. And then if you have been clear and they're still stepping all over them, okay, are these drama people that aren't respecting you, and maybe they really don't need to be a big part of your life? So set rules, be firm. You don't have to be a diva about it, but have your work days, your work hours. For example, the other day, my husband, he called and he wanted me to go do some at the post office for him. And technically I had the time. I had like a 2-hour span. So I could have rushed to get the kids dressed, rushed down there, gotten whatever he needed fixed, rushed back here, and been frantic and just stressed out before this event I had at 1 o'clock. Or, which is what I did, I said, no, I can't do it today. I don't have the time for it. I'm deciding to stay home. And so it was a relaxing day. I was able to finish up a few little things around the house and then be prepared mentally and physically. I wasn't, and emotionally, I wasn't stressed out. I mean, we've all done this, okay? Where you're like, I really don't have time, but this needs to get done. So I'm going to run around and scream, and you're pulling the kids along and everybody's in an uproar because you didn't have a boundary and you didn't say no. And it got done, whatever he needed to do, it got done the next day. It was fine. It wasn't a life or death. So people need to know your boundaries, whether that's your husband, even yourself. Even yourself. Don't be one of those people that says yes to everything. And then you're stressing yourself out. If it's something for school and they call you because they know that you're great at organization and all of this, you could say, thank you so much. I'm flattered that you thought of me, but no, I am not going to be able to do that this week. You could recommend someone else, or you could say, is there another way that I could help? I could donate money or pick something up and drop it off. Whatever you can do, but you do not always have to say yes. No is a complete sentence. You don't even have to give excuses, okay? So set boundaries for people around you, including yourself. All right. Let's see, promises, okay? Again, this kind of has to go along with yourself and what you're saying you can do. If you're successful and can be the best person, doesn't mean you have to do it, okay? So if someone calls you and would love for you to do this, run this event at the church or do this and that, and you really could do an incredible job at it, but you are already maxed out for that week, your bandwidth is already filled up, you don't have to do it, okay? They're playing to your ego, okay? If it makes it easier to say no, and they're asking you and they really want you to do this, think of it as they're playing to my ego, all right? So don't feed the ego, say, I would love to do this, but, my schedule is already planned for this week. I won't be able to, but so-and-so I know would do a really incredible job. So you don't have to do everything, okay? So keep your promises you make to your kids, yourself, your spouse. Don't overextend yourself. Even when it comes to business, even when it comes to your team, okay? Don't be a babysitter, all right? These are grown people on your team. You do not need to be there to wipe their nose and answer every single question. I had to do a lot of research when I was first learning, and so I would look up things and I would Google and I would go in my back office. And if I had looked on Facebook and searched through the groups we're in and all this other stuff and I couldn't find it, then I would ask. Okay, so don't go to your upline and message them, hey, what's the number for Plexus? Or, hey, what is Plexus's hours? Or, how many ambassadors do I need to be silver? These are all things that you can find out yourself. All right. So put a little due diligence in. I tell my team, I tell my newbies, like, I will get back to you in about a 24-hour time frame. It may not be instantly that day, but I will get back to you. Okay. Because I want to be preaching and applying this time freedom. I am not a slave to my phone. If we do not have a set schedule, more than likely, I'm not going to answer when you call. Okay, just so you know. If I am not planning to be around this, I do not carry this around everywhere. And if I'm doing something or I'm involved with the kids or whatever, and someone's calling me, I will let it go to the answer machine. And then I will see who it was, what they wanted, and I will call them back or I'll message them and say, hey, I can't do it right now. I'll talk to you later. Because I am not going to be a slave to this. I cannot be honest with myself and be telling time freedom. And this gives me the opportunity to be able to stay home and do things with my children and do things with my family when I'm constantly on this all the time. Okay, so set boundaries. Set boundaries for yourself. And places, okay? When you have, especially for me, if you have a place in your house that is your workplace, when you walk into that room or that area, or you sit down at that table, you have a different mindset, a different atmosphere about you, and you can be more intentional. So wherever the places are that you decide, this is where I'm going to do my business, let it be known that your family knows, okay, mama is doing this right now, or you know, your husband, your spouse, I'm doing this right now. This is my work time. And be intentional about it. Have your boundaries set, you know, go drink a glass of water, go pee, make sure you've had a snack so you can focus on you and your business. So 3 places that I want you guys to write down now. 3 things that you know that you need to work on your boundaries, whether that is people, places, whether that is your promises, but just write down 3 things real quick, what it is that you need to work on, that you know you need to work on. And then talk with your spouse, talk with your family, and then let them know these are our boundaries. This is what mama's working towards. You know, I was talking to a friend today, and her goal right now is to get to gold. And so her family, she sat down and she's talked with them. And so they are invested in it, because when she hits gold, they are going to go spend a night at a hotel that has a swimming pool. So her son is excited about that. And he's like, Mama, did you get a customer today? Mama, did you get a new ambassador? So her family is invested. Her shareholders of her company, they're invested and they're happy and they're supporting her, and they know her boundaries and that she's going to have to work for it. So do that with your family. It's important that you all have something to be excited about. So 3 things, write them down that you guys know you need to work on. And then Eric, I'm going to hand it off to you.
I think I was the
Actually,
one.
I think Aaron's up next.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Aaron, you're on next.
No worries. I'm on the letter R of B.R.A.D, which is routines and rituals. I think, can everybody hear me okay? Okay, good. Yeah, routines and rituals. And that means like income producing activity and accountability and DMO type stuff, like daily mode of operation. IPA, income producing activity. Like I think she talked a lot about like getting your day started right. So get up in the morning, get dressed, put a little makeup on if you're a lady, if you're a guy, you know, just everybody get dressed. Don't just be in your pajamas all day, because when you're in your pajamas, believe it or not, you're giving, it's like a presence that you have, that you're unproductive, that you're tired, and it just makes a person feel more lazy. So I think she's right. Like, get up in the morning. I've made a really big habit of taking a shower, doing my hair, makeup, putting a nice cute outfit on. I mean, it's not really like totally necessary for some people, but for me, I feel more like a professional. And I think that in a business like network marketing, where you are at home, you can kind of like cut corners on a lot of things. I think it's important to still treat this like a job. I mean, if you treat it like a hobby, it's gonna pay like a hobby. If you treat it like a job, it's gonna pay you like a job. So like, there's a lot of people out there working the grind of a 9 to 5, and we have this amazing opportunity to put effort into something that can pay like a residual income someday. You know, you might work, and then not get paid in the beginning as much, but as you keep adding in and adding more people in, you can see how it flip-flops, and your amount of money that you get paid per hour just increases, and it's not like a normal 9 to 5, but you want to still treat it like a job. If you have your area that you work, like she said in the boundary section, in Stephanie's boundary section, there was I'm not sure whose audio is on. There's like a interference. So anyway, she was talking about a place to work. So if you have that place and you are, treat it like having an executive mindset, which means, like get up in the morning early, plan your day out. In the morning, when you have that energy, then you can be planning out meals for the day. The power hour, make that hour count. Like if all you have is 1 hour a day, think of it like 5 days a week, like a normal job, and your weekends are off, depending on what your priorities are. Like for me, I take Saturday and Sunday off, but that's not for everybody. But I work it like a job, Monday through Friday. And so I have my certain hours of operation. I plan ahead. I have routines that I have with my business. So if my kids come up to me and say this and that and the other thing, I said, well, right now is my time to work. I will set aside, I spend a certain amount of time with them, which is a lot more than most people who work a job. But I do set aside that hour of time that's very critical to growing my business. And the focus time of a power hour should be like contacting new prospects every day and friending new people and building relationships. Don't get into the trap that a lot of network marketers do, and including myself, I did, the management mode, which means you're not engaging in new prospects. You're actually just trying to pour into your leaders and your runners, and that can be the one thing that causes you to not grow, because you need to be lead by example. So if people see you adding people, then they're gonna follow after you. You don't have to sit there and tell them what to do every day. If they want it, they're gonna go for it, and they're gonna watch you. Trust me. If you're adding people, they'll be adding people. And it's like a bathtub filled with water. That water needs to be turned on. You're always having water coming in, because there's a little leak in the drain on the bottom. In this kind of business, there's always going to be a steady stream of people leaking out. So you need to make sure you're always adding in. And she did talk about that. And starting your day with, some positive affirmations. I have a group that I started with my team called Mining for Gems. It's a private group, and every day I have them print off these sheets to try to keep them focused on their power hour. And they have, so many of them have grown so much through this, being able to put that time in. And just think, if you put in 4 power hours in, like where you're totally all in, focused, you're not scrolling Facebook, you're not messaging, people that getting back to people, you're focusing on like friending 3 people every day, and messaging 5 people every day, and posting on Facebook a couple different things that keep your audience engaged. Those are like your income producing activity things, and those need to come first. She was really big on that. She said, get that in before you do anything else. Get that power hour in, and then the rest of the day you can, definitely, follow up or do other things, but just make sure you get that concentrated time. Because believe it or not, you can actually do, say you're working 8 hours a day and not get nearly as much accomplished in that 8 hours than you can if you have focused 1 hour of time. So that was like the big deal that she went over. And there's the routines. Make your routines. They have to be personal. So write this down: personal, bearable, memorable, replicable, which means other people can copy what you're doing, and non-negotiable. So if you make it those things, if you concentrate on your income producing activity and your business, embodying those elements, then it's more doable for anybody. So those are really big. She said, make sure you try to get 3 things accomplished before noon every day. Just make sure you get it in your head. You know, you're going to get something. It gives you a sense of accomplishment. And so we talked about mostly everything, I think. So anyways, I will hand it over to Eric. I hope it's been helpful. Make sure you have your routines and rituals established with your business so you can be successful.
That was awesome, Erin. Thank you so much.
Hold on, Eric, just real quick. One of the things that I know. One of the things, like, okay, as a mom wife, that stood out to me for these routines, and it was such like a quick thing, and oh, why haven't I never done that? Is she said, you know, the 3 things before lunch. So have your list down of like 3 things you need to do that day, whether it's, you know, cleaning the toilets and then writing these people back or whatever it is. But by 9 a.m., she always knows what she's having for dinner.
Yeah.
How much simpler does that make life when it's not, you know, 5, 6 p.m., everybody's starving, your blood sugar is crashing, and your husband's like, what are we going to eat? And you're like, I don't know. There's ingredients in the fridge, or we can have peanut butter and jelly, or let's just order in. So a routine, something simple like that. Again, something that is doable, something that is replicatable. So anyway, okay, on to Eric.
Is it replicatable or replicable?
I don't know. They knew what I meant.
Oh, yeah. Hey, just so you guys know, it's 8:30 over here, and Amy just went to grab a sushi. I mean, I'm just saying. Like, just, where's our dinner? So I just started my timer. Stephanie's told me that I had 10 minutes, so I'm gonna stick to my 10 minutes. So you guys hold me to that. So guys, we're talking about accountability, right? I got the A in B.R.A.D, accountability. So I wish I could tell you that I was an accountability expert. I am not, but I have been learning a lot about accountability, and I understand accountability. And I'll tell you what, there are a lot of really smart, really successful people out there that apply this concept to their lives, to their businesses, whether it's network marketing or other, and they're just hugely successful. I've got some quotes here. I've got some facts. Just some things hopefully that'll help you. So, like any good sermon, my little spiel here has 3 points. All right, you can write them down, not write them down, but hopefully something will stick with you and you'll remember it. So basically, the gist of accountability is this, right? Accountability leads to improvement, right? You can improve in your lives if you have some accountability. So, for example, Carrie, we're doing this Carrie Wilkerson B.R.A.D training overview. So what Carrie says is the areas we grow in are the areas that we track, right? So the areas that you grow in are the areas that you track. And I mean, I've found that to be true. I don't track every area of my life. I'm not, some professional statistics guy that knows exactly what's going to happen every single day. I mean, I usually wait till I'm hungry to figure out dinner. But if you do track your activities, you're going to grow in those areas that you track. So whether it's finances, your phone activity, if you have a weight loss goal. So Carrie Wilkerson, I just kind of listened to her B.R.A.D training, a few times, and I kind of gleaned some things from it. She gave a simple example when she was trying to lose weight, and Carrie Wilkerson lost a lot of weight, guys. Like, I don't remember what she said, but wasn't it like over 100 pounds? She lost a ton of weight. And one of the examples she gave is that she had these little bright green Post-it notes, right? And she would write on one, she would write her daily weight that, she stepped on the scale in the morning, write down on a green Post-it note. Then she would write down, I guess towards the middle of the day after lunch or something, she'd write down what her carb intake was. So she'd slap that stuff on her office door and then do it again the next day. But, throughout the day, when she saw those little Post-it notes, her mind would, correlate her carb intake with weight loss. So she would see, hey, I'm eating less carbs, I'm losing weight. Whatever it takes to get your mind on the goal, that's what you need to do. Okay? So, I've kind of talked about this a few times when Amy and I have done couple Zooms and whatnot, but people are always like, well, when did you start being successful? When was the turning point in your business? I think the turning point in my business was when I realized that we were making money, right? Like this was a good deal. Like the products work, the comp plan works because we're getting deposits. And Amy's texting me. She's distracting me here. Sorry, I'll ignore that. She's asking me what the gate code is. Hope she can figure that out. But, the turning point in our business was basically when we started making money. And when we started making money, I started doing the same thing as Carrie, right? I took all these little Post-it notes and I wrote down goals for both of us. I was like, okay, well, I'm a silver ambassador, and I think Amy was like senior gold, or maybe she was a ruby. I think she was senior gold though. So I was like, okay, senior gold, this is how much we're making. Silver, this is how much we're making. Here's how much we're making combined. And then I kind of like looked at a bunch of different things, tried to figure out how long it would take to get the goal based on the comp plan. But I wrote all that stuff down, right? So we had a big old whiteboard in our living room, and we had all of our team members written on it. We didn't have a whole lot at that time, so I guess y'all fit on a whiteboard. But we had, level 1, 2, and 3. We had, each one of our legs written out. We knew who was where, and we had those Post-it notes posted everywhere. So we were tracking our goals, right? We knew where we were at. We knew which people were at less than 100 PV that needed to bump so that we'd get 5 points and that they'd be happy with the products and they'd give Plexus a real shot. I mean, we just knew what was going on with our business. So the areas that we grow in are the areas that we track, whether it's weight loss, business building, time spent on IPA. I mean, Stephanie talked all about that, guys. I mean, she really got into it, and she nailed down some things that you can do to be successful and some things that you shouldn't do, right? How many things do we do that are not income producing activity? Just because we're on Facebook or we're on social media, that does not equal income producing activity unless you're doing activity that's going to produce income. So I mean, I see it all the time. I don't have my own Facebook account. I share Amy's, but I mean, I keep track of Facebook stuff. I keep up on things, and guys, there's a lot of stuff going on Facebook that is not going to make you any money. So, I've found that whenever there's, more stress added in our lives, Amy's feeling overwhelmed, we feel like we're just too busy. We take a look at things and we're like, wow, how much of that time spent on social media and how much of that time spent on these issues was really necessary? Like, a lot of these issues, like Stephanie was saying, a lot of the questions that you get from your downline, I mean, just send them a simple message like Facebook search bar, right? Like we need to duplicate ourselves downwards. And we need to hold people accountable. Like I'm preaching on accountability. I've got like a whole thing of notes right here. So here's your accountability sermon, guys. Check this out. So we talked about accountability. Recent research indicates that accountability can influence both what and how people think and might reduce decision makers' susceptibility to a variety of common judgment and choice errors. So basically, when you break that down, it means that accountability will keep you from making mistakes, right? It'll increase judgment, you'll make better judgment calls, and you'll have less drama in your life if you have some accountability in your life. So track your prospects. I mean, that's a little tidbit, right? We talk to so many people. We have a lot of people on our team even that, they don't really ever know where they're at. I mean, they kind of know they're close to gold or they're close to emerald or they're close to something, but, they don't know how many people are at 95 PV, how many people are at 40 PV, how many people, turned off this month because maybe their shipment was late or something, or maybe, they took 8 BioCleanse and it gave them the runs, or they're having Candida die off. I mean, they're not keeping up on this stuff, right? So you need to track your prospects. You need to know what's going on with your team, and you'll grow, right? That's income producing activity. If you don't have anything else to do and you can't figure out if the time that you're currently spending on Facebook is making you money, open up your back office, go through every single one of your prospects and figure out, not only what you can do to get those white lines turned back on, but figure out how happy your current prospects are and how many happy people that they know that they can sign up and get on their team and make everybody happier, right? So that's my spiel on point 1, and that's only point 1, and that's like 7 minutes, guys. So I'm going to speed through point 2 and 3. Okay. Am I losing anybody? I'm not looking at gallery view here. Is everybody okay? You guys hanging in? Thumbs up? Thumbs up. All right. Awesome. So number 2, write out your goals. All right, sir. So look at me real quick. Everybody raise your hand if you write out your goals. If you don't write out your goals, don't lie. Raise your hand if you write out your goals. Yeah, what's up, Jamie? Jamie writes out her goals. Write out your goals. So here's the deal. Somebody needs to mute themselves. iPad. Here's iPad. So write out your goals. So leaders from any major leaders, like leaders, anybody from Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, I mean, Kerry Wilkerson said this, write out your goals. But basically they say that writing down your goals is the key to massive success in your work and in your life. Like I remember hearing this in high school, right? I didn't pay much attention to anything in high school. I was voted like least likely to succeed in life, I think. I mean, it was a mess in high school. Okay. It wasn't cool. Like Stephanie would not have been friends with me in high school, but, I remember teachers saying, write out your goals, right? They gave me this big sheet and I wrote out my goals. And in fact, I remember that because this last time I was at home, my mom brought out this big old box of stuff, like my yearbook, and I had like 3 signatures in it. I guess I wasn't very popular. And but there's this goal sheet, right? Like this whole sheet of goals. And I wrote out my goals. I was like, I'm going to be super rich, and I'm going to be super famous, and I'm going to drive a fast car. Just dumb stuff, right? But I had goals at least. So Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, Kerry Wilkerson, write your goals down. It's the key to massive success. I gave you an example of what Kerry did, right? She wrote on a couple little Post-it notes. She slapped them on her door every day, and she lost over 100 pounds. I think it's over 100 pounds, but it's just Kerry, so don't quote me on that. Here's an interesting study, okay, so that I can put a little bit of science behind my stammering here. So in 2007, Dr. Gail Matthews at Dominican University in California, never been there, but it was on the internet, so it must exist. She did a study on students who tracked goal achievement, comparing groups who wrote down their goals to those who didn't, right? So here's students that write their goals down, here's students that don't write their goals down. So she found that writing down your goals contributed to a 42% increase in goal achievement, right? So 42%, that's a pretty big increase. Like I'd take those odds in most cases. Like 42% return on an investment, I mean, you'd be rich. 42% of the time our bus doesn't break down. 42% of the time, like, I've got a great relationship with my wife and my kids are behaving. I mean, 42% is a pretty good number, right? So she found that they contributed to a 42% increase in goal achievement. What's more, she also found that adding accountability works even better. That increased goal achievement to 78%. So when they had an accountability partner, right? When you hire a life coach or a business coach, I mean, all these coaches, like they preach on accountability. That's their big thing. Even like right, Stephanie, like you talk to these coaches that call you all the time, like they have some kind of an accountability deal, right? They're like, look at my Excel spreadsheet. You're doing this wrong. You're doing that wrong. Like, I'm going to call you next week. You better have it fixed. I mean, accountability helps people. So 78% increased goal achievement, according to this study out of California. I mean, I'm assuming that, most people would have similar results by writing down your goals and having accountability in your life. So I've got a couple cool little quotes that I found. One says, accountability separates the wishers in life from the action takers that care enough about their future to account for their daily actions. So that's accountability. It separates the wishers from the action takers. And then there's another one by this guy named Steve. If you hang out with chickens, you're going to cluck. If you hang out with eagles, you're going to fly. I don't know if that has anything to do with accountability, but it was next to another accountability quote. I thought it was kind of funny. All right, that's kind of good. If you hang out with eagles, you're going to fly. If you hang out with chickens, you're going to cluck. So once again, Facebook, right? Is that income-producing activity? Sometimes. Is there a bunch of drama that you don't need to be involved in? Yeah, lots. So cut out the drama. Be accountable to somebody. Your upline, your sideline. I mean, Amy's got a sideline friend. I mean, I made good friends with her husband. They're just really cool people. Our upline's awesome. Stephanie's right down here at the bottom of my screen. Always smiling, always offering words of encouragement. We've known her forever. And just find somebody to be accountable to. And you'll see what you're focused on. And so that's my last point, actually. If you're accountable and you write down your goals, you'll actually be able to see what you're focused on. So, in that B.R.A.D training, in that Kerry Wilkerson speech, she kind of used the analogy that, she bought an orange car. I've never been a big fan of orange cars, but she bought one, and it's probably really pretty. But she basically said that when she bought this orange car, right, like, you don't even notice those cars. Like, I could park next to an orange car, and I might give it a passing glance, but I don't notice that thing. But if I bought one, I would notice all the orange cars on the road, right? Like, I never noticed early Broncos before, but I built this super cool early Bronco, and I got all into Broncos when we were on Kauai. I noticed every early Bronco and FJ40 and all these old, classics cruising around the island. I'd never even seen them before. But basically, that's the example she used. But whatever you're focusing on in your life, in your business, is what you're going to be seeing a lot of, okay? So use the analogy that, if you're focusing on leaders leaving, you're going to be seeing a lot of leaders leaving. If you're focusing on, your attrition rate, you're going to be seeing your attrition rate and a lot of attrition. But if you're focused on positive things, the things that we all want, which is what? More business builders. We want more runners. We want more people that see the vision, that love Plexus, that have, great results and get a free Lexus and just love this company and the pink drink. That's what we all want. So do that. Focus on your potential rock stars, even if they're not your rock stars yet. Look at that chicken list. I mean, Amy says it all the time. She's a lot better at these like video trainings than I am, but Man, she gets people all pumped, right? She's like, it took me a year to find my rock star, and it did. You know, I remember that girl messaged her back, Brooke, and she's like, all right, I'm ready. And Amy didn't call her back for 3 days. She was so freaked out. But she was focused, right? She didn't stop reaching out. And there's stories like that across the board, guys. Like we were at a leaders retreat in Dallas this year, and we sat on this big bus, and we went to some event. And I talked to a bunch of different diamonds, and I was like, all right, tell me some stories about, how you became a diamond and, opportunities that you've missed out on. And man, there were all kinds of stories about that. Like, I didn't follow up with this girl, and then she ended up signing up with somebody else. Now she's a sapphire, yada, yada, yada. But focus on your rock stars, focus on IPA that works, and focus on the people in Plexus that encourage you, okay? Don't focus on the people that discourage you. If those people are in your life, cut them out, unless it's your spouse. Then make it work. But if there are other people that are not encouraging you, friends, sidelines, classmates, doesn't matter. Just don't focus on those people, right? There's plenty of cool people out there. Find new people to focus on. So, sorry, Steph, that was like 14 minutes. But hope y'all got something out of that. And last but not least, actions speak louder than goals, right? Write that down. That's all I got.
Okay, Carl, you're on. Let's see, unmute.
Well,
There you go.
I think I'm good to go. Well, I'm Carl, and in this B.R.A.D training, I have the letter D, which represents deadlines. So without deadlines, nothing would get accomplished. The world revolves around deadlines, whether it's deadlines in your personal life or in your business. We all need to have deadlines, and we all have deadlines just to make our lives and accomplish things. So 3 observations about deadlines. You should be motivated by deadlines. We're conditioned to work towards our deadlines. And then on the last one, today we have lots of different ways to track our deadlines and be motivated to accomplish those, but we also have a lot of ways to be distracted, and we'll talk about those. So I like to break deadlines into 2 categories. I like to call one category the hard deadlines. That would be like getting ready for this meeting or attending this meeting. It's something that, it's a point in time that it's rock solid. You have to be ready for. A soft deadline might be like running to the store to get some bread or something like that. It can be accomplished at various times. It needs to be accomplished, but it's a soft deadline. So I like to think of deadlines in those 2 categories, hard deadlines and soft deadlines. And then I've got 4 different key activities that I want to go over about a deadline. So the first one is define it. It must be specific. It must be measurable, obtainable, and realistic. You have to give yourself a deadline, otherwise it'll just string on forever. And then it needs to be measurable. You need to have a way to quantify it, a way to know if you're making your deadline, working towards it. It needs to be attainable. Is it within your reach? You might start with a small deadline first, and then increase that deadline as you get more better at it. And then it needs to be realistic. I think this is so important. So many times we set a deadline and we either underestimate how long it's going to take us to complete it, or we don't account for it properly. So I like to, a lot of times, if it's something new I'm doing, I'll add a little fudge factor in there. If I think it's going to take 1 day to complete it, I'll give myself 1.5 days, or add some time into it that so it can be realistic. And then once you've defined it, you need to divide it. So what do I have to do monthly, weekly, daily, or hourly? It could even be minutely. You need to divide it, because if you don't, you'll underestimate the daily activity that it takes to complete it. And in the end, you'll end up with way too much to complete it at the end, right before it's due. You cannot complete everything right before the deadline is due or right at the finish line. The deadline is the finish line. And that last little bit of your deadline, don't underestimate it. It takes 110% or more to get to the finish line. It's like running a race, and you're running hard, you're starting to sweat, you're breathing hard, and you can see the deadline, but it takes a lot of effort to go that last little bit. So remember that and build that into your timeline. So after you've defined it, divided it, you need to declare it. We've heard a little bit about this already tonight. You need to tell someone, whether that's a friend, a family member, a team member. You need to share your deadline or your goal with them. Look for ways to be accountable. That's the key. Look for ways to be accountable. And then set aside time to complete the tasks that are needed to complete your deadline. And then commit that time to achieving the deadline. So the last one in these 4 areas is discipline. And you're like, why does this fall in there? Well, discipline gives us freedom. So when we're disciplined, like somebody said earlier, I think it was Aaron, about having the meal planned out before 9 a.m. That is discipline. It gives her freedom throughout the rest of the day to be able to focus on the things and other activities that matter. So I would challenge you to be disciplined. You must be intentional. That's very intentional to keep yourself on track and tracking your deadline. So remember, make it achievable and set achievable milestones. So there's a couple ways. We have a lot of information today, technologically, that can help us track it. One of them might be, Carrie mentioned followupthen.com. I haven't used it, but it's something you can send an email to, and it'll, you give it a deadline, a date and time, and it'll send you a reminder on that date and time. We have no excuse today. I mean, it could be your tasks in your phone or on your computer, your calendar. You can set deadlines for follow-up or deadlines to complete a task. And it could be just a straight pen and paper with notepad. You find what works for you and you use it. And it may be different for you than what it is for me. For instance, I'll use notes in my phone, and I'll set times and days when I want to get that done. And it motivates me because it pops up and I'm like, I need to do this, or I need to be here, or I need to follow up with this person, or I have to track this issue. So find a way that works for you, because you cannot remember it all. That's the one big thing. You cannot remember it all. So in summary, B.R.A.D, B.R.A.D, can be your personal achievement guide to the boundaries, routines, accountability, and deadlines. So I would like to challenge you tonight. I'd like you to set 2 deadlines. I'd like you to make them specific, and I'd like you to make them measurable. And then define it, divide it, declare it, and have some discipline. Stephanie?
Awesome, Carl. Oh my goodness. I got so much. Let's see. Shauna's saying, what's that website again?
It's followupthen.com.
Followupthen.com. So yeah, I mean, it was a really, really good thing. And you don't have to take all 4 letters and do 5 new things in your life from each letter. Because again, we're talking about doable and something that you can maintain. And changes in our lives, sometimes it's little changes, but start little so you at least feel like you've gotten a success under your belt, and that, yeah, I did accomplish 3 things before noon. Or maybe it's not 3 things, maybe it's 1 or 2. And just have that list and feel accomplished with that. Know what you're going to make for dinner. Know what your goals are, and tell someone, even if it's your spouse, your children, I have a goal that I am going to be silver by March, and write that down in your calendar. Write that down and put that on your fridge so you can see it. So these things are in front of you, because again, what you focus on, that is what you are going to grow in. All right. So focus on the positive things. Focus on the people that are interested. Focus on the people that have liked your comment or whatever else. Focus on the good instead of the negative. There's enough negativity out there. It's drama, and I don't have time for it. I won't have time for it. I want to focus on what's good and right and positive and pleasing. So I hope you guys got something from this tonight. I love this training. I love the information I got, and it has made a difference for me, for my life, for my family, and I hope it can make a difference for you. So thank you all for being on here, and I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. So we'll talk to you guys later.